Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Weebs Return podcast. I'm Nin, and I'm here today with.
Last.
We're going to be reviewing 86. We called ourselves the Weebs Return because we used to be Weebs back in the day. And now, well, we're coming back to watch the new anime that's been coming out recently. So we started out with 86 because we just choose it out of random. It was one of the new animes, and I saw a lot of people talking about it, so I was like, let's take that one. I only finished the anime last, like, the day before yesterday. On, like, Thursday, I finished the anime. Because the whole week I was, like, really, really busy.
Hmm. Well, if to enter into the anime, let's dig deep into it.
Yes,
What?
yes. I'm gonna follow your notes and whatever you've written down, and I will comment on what I think. Because I do have problems with the anime. We've only seen the first season, and I do have some problems with it. Not so
Go for
many, but
it.
I have some problems with it. I do think it's a great anime. I don't think it's like a super amazing because a lot of people were like, "This is so good. This is a really great anime," but it's just okay. It's not like the best. It's not the worst. But I do have some qualms. Anyway, you go. You start. You start off last. You start off.
So basically, we start with our main protagonist, Lise. And as the show progresses, the first thing we see is the molting of the flower, and she's being agitated by everything around her, the food, by the news, and everything. We find out in the series that the 86, the Juggernaut, the Sang Mongolia's kingdom's defense force, is operated by humans, not autonomous mechanical beings.
Yes.
And as it moves forward, we also see her losing like members from those teams that she is handling. She's a handler. A handler's job is to guide and coordinate the team of 86 in the field of battles against the Legion. And we soon find out that she's getting promoted to actually handle one of the spearhead units, one of the proud distinctive A class 86 unit, and she's going to handle them. This is where
The way
everything
you said
goes.
that, though. She's
Yo,
going
I
to
know.
handle them.
Yeah, I
But
know.
okay, okay. Before you continue, um, we're
Mm.
not gonna narrate the entire story. You can pick between which sides you like. Pick between what you really want to talk about.
Oh,
What
that's more
is?
easy.
Hmm?
That- That's more easier.
I
The
know,
only that's
but
more easier. So
continue,
basically,
continue, continue.
the thing from the series is that one of the best lines here. What does the flag represents? So the San Mongolia flag is made of 5 distinctive features known as freedom, equality, brotherhood, justice, and nobility. Now the quote that the general, that is the uncle of our main protagonist, says that, "Do you think you're upholding those 5 tenets? Look at this world. Those values have vanished from this republic. Your relentlessness in the search of ideals within others and those alike. But an ideal, by definition, is unattainable, a mere dream of perfection. Chasing after them when you know they are pure fantasy, in both foolish and cowardly. Wouldn't you agree?" Damn, this hits hard. This,
Are you talking about like episode 7 and not the beginning?
yes,
Because doesn't he
episode.
go? He tells us this after the many events that do occur. For example, her finding out that the spearhead unit that she's in charge of is the unit that is an execution ground, as they put it.
But that's later in the series. This is before that she knows about it, and the
Yes, but
general point is
he
actually to disconnect from those values. She's totally connected to them as on a emotionally and humanitarian level.
yes,
So
she's very humanitarian in this anime. What's this main character's name again? I forgot. It slips me every time.
you're the only one who skips. It skips my one as well. It's Lisa. It's
L-
about
Lina, what Lisa? Isn't it Lina?
Sandy. The
What?
name is how.
Say again?
Wait, wait. Let me look it up again, the name.
The
Because
name?
it's very hard to pronounce. It sometimes crosses my mind sometimes. Again,
No, I know. I know it's Melise because they call it Melise Socho in the
Milize,
anime.
yeah, Major Milize.
Major Melise, but don't they have like a short name they call it? Like the uncle calls her Lena, doesn't he?
Lena, or you can say her Major. That's
Major.
the most the series goes by with.
Okay. What are the most
So
standout from this anime that you really like?
I think the inner politics of it. To be
The inner
honest, it's
politics.
yes. Like if you look at it on a surface level, it's same as most animes as it goes. People are gonna die, everything's gonna happen exactly. But the one thing that differentiates this anime is the blatant discrimination between the 86 and the Republic's nation people.
Hmm.
We can see it in the early intro as that the 86 and there's a mannequin over there holding with a fly known as pigs.
Yeah, I remember that. The
And
thing
as
is,
it moves,
um,
hmm,
that this kind of storytelling, this discriminatory type storytelling, where you have the one group that is being discriminated against and the other group that discriminates against this one group, it's not a new thing, right? It's not a new type of storytelling. You see it all the time.
hmm,
The interesting point for me, at least what I got out of this anime, was more so the Empire. The Empire was the more interesting. The so-called evil empire by that the Republic calls was the more interesting point for me. The Legion, right? Because I remember what's his name? Shin was telling Lena that about that Legion is taking the heads uh, off of the 86 and using that to power the machines, right? Now, he also explained in that specific scene that the Republic is expecting the war to end in 2 years, right?
exactly,
But that's only because they estimated this by the fact that the Legion was designed with the human brain as its controller, right? And that because of that design, it would end in 2 years. That's all the information we've been given. So my question was, he's him saying that if that brain, that design of the brain fails, they will just get another one, replace it, meaning this war will not end in 2 years. Correct?
exactly. But he also says that those damaged brains can only function as remnants of the Legion.
Yes,
But
yes, but it still increases the time the war will last on. There's not many 86 to go around for them to constantly fight with the machines. Because eventually it's not like there's not actually autonomous machines. If it was actually autonomous machines, they would be able to fight in like an endless war. They can continuously fight against the Legion because that's what the Legion is basically is. They are basically autonomous machines constantly fighting. There's no end to the Legion. They're just waiting for the Legion to completely shut down because there's no humans operating the Legion. Correct?
exactly, but they also said that the Legion is functioning on a shepherd. That means an undamaged brain. And if that undamaged brain keeps on operating, it can keep on running the Legion for longer periods of time.
Exactly. Now they didn't just take they didn't just take one brain as a ship. They've taken multiple brains. All the 86 that have died, because you saw when he's able to hear their screams, their last words, essentially. And you get the black sheep as well as the shepherd. The black sheep are the ones who also still have. The shepherd is a fixed brain. And then there's the black sheep, which is also brains that they've been using, right?
Exactly.
So if that's the case, and the war will not end, why doesn't she use this information for them to at least add more soldiers to the 86th division, or at
If
the
you look,
very least, um, warn the people that this is not going to end in 2 years. Because now that that happens, the war doesn't end in 2 years, and then there's going to be an upset with the people that don't know what's going on, right?
your point is quite logical, but in the series, as we move forward, as I told you, who would they like believe the statement from? Would they believe it from an 86 who's telling it to a major?
But that's the thing, it's not coming from an 86. It's coming from a major. The
Yes, but if a
major,
major,
she can do her own research into the.
but if you look into the records as the earlier in the series, the only thing they know about the Federation of Gia, that's where the legions were
Oh,
made, is that the legions.
give me a second. Give me a second. Hold on. You were
Should I
saying?
start? So basically, the Federation, the only information that the Republic or any other country that has from the Federation of Gia that invented the legions is basically that the legions are autonomous beings working on human brains.
Yes, I know that.
That's
But
the only
since
information.
yes, that's the only information they have. She was given crucial information from someone on the field.
Yes,
Even
but
then, even if they gave the argument that how can we trust the information coming from an 86, right? But they're the only ones on the field. They have more information than those
that,
back in base.
and that's where the episode even tells us. So basically, every time Shin, the main leader of it, and our major would have a conversation, and the major was having and telling her that give file me a report, and she
Yeah,
found that the Shin would only send the same report again and again
because they
to.
don't read the reports. They stated that they don't read reports. She said she's gonna be reading the reports, right? She said she was gonna be reading the reports.
Yes, but yes, and then that proves my point. Furthermore, that exact like for example, if even if she proves those reports and gives it, what kind of factual evidence did they have?
The fact that the Legion are moving sporadically, more differently than usual. They're not moving in a specific pattern. They're moving like they have humans as well inside of them. Because they also, their weaponry is more and more advanced. The autonomous so-called bots of.
That's true. And early on in the season, we also know that there's not just only one shepherd, there are multiple shepherds out there.
Exactly. This is a huge problem. And she never read, because when she gets this information, you get a time skip. You move a couple of days forward. And we don't really know whether she told the commander or not, right? She never really told her uncle or not. Because we don't know that. We never get to see whether she told her uncle on that side of things.
That's true. That's why in the early in the series, she's also been asking for advanced recruitment, like getting more people to help
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
spearheads.
The thing is, in that argument with the when she was asking for more recruitments towards the spearheads, she never once says that they might really need to add more people there and not let any of these soldiers die because you're going to need more soldiers. The whole idea of getting rid of all the 86 seems completely dumb for a nation like the Republic. Because any kind of, but I know it's to show that they are dumb, but it doesn't make sense as someone who, if you're in an army, if you're in a war, if you know that the opposite side is getting more and more powerful, right, and they're not going to be stopping after 2 years, then you need more and more soldiers on the field. And if you're getting rid of all the 86 because we don't want to have the people know about the what's going on, it doesn't make any sense.
That's the thing, and this is where the her like uncle tells her about the country and
Yes,
how Saint Mongolia found this country.
but she
And
never. Okay, okay, hold on. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
so as the major is explaining to him the principles of this country, and he tells her it's a country overrun by fools and villains. The same sword that had the Saint Mongolia executed, who sacrificed on the altar of wealth and greed. What more can you expect out of them?
Yeah, but the thing is, in that argument against him, she never brought up that fact. Whenever she was asking for more recruitments, you never, at least we never got to see whether she did or not. If she did, great, but we never really get to see that from her, you know what I mean? We never get to see her actually ask her uncle and tell him that there's something wrong here. That if you keep on getting rid of the soldiers, the country itself will fall. Then what's the point, right? What's the point of
Exactly.
continuing in the war? If he, then I also don't get the motivation for the 86. Why keep on fighting if the country behind you is going to die regardless in the 2 years because of the neglect of actually trying to figure out whether they're getting more powerful or not. That neglect is seemingly going to be the downfall of this country. So why do you fight? They did say they gave their whole speech telling all of this information to the major and telling them why they really fight is their pride or something like that.
Exactly. But it
You
also,
probably since you have notes you'd be able to say it
yeah.
more.
Plus, it also gives me the impression of that they have Stockholm syndrome. You know, that when a kidnapper actually holds an hostage, and the hostage believes that they're safe in this place. You know, it's like a rewiring of the program of it. But this is done on a mass scale.
Yeah,
Think of that.
but I don't think that really applies considering they aren't dumb or they don't seem brainwashed because they know that they're going to die. They know that they're going to die in vain. So where does this all come from? That whole speech don't make any sense, especially for these guys,
Think,
for the
exactly.
specific 86.
I agree, but I think it lacks from like the emptiness of a human emotion. At the end of the day, when all sense and logic is not there, they know that they're gonna die either way. Even if they're accepted, they're not gonna be still treated equally. Let's just say they survive, and let's just say they try to go inside the republic. They're not going to be accepted either way. They're
Yes,
still
but
gonna
okay, say continue.
still gonna face all those hardships that they felt on the battlefield, but this time even more.
True, right? I understand what you're saying, but as Shin or Raiden, either one of them, they've said it that there may be life or survivors outside of the territory of the Empire and the Republic. You don't have to go back to the Republic.
That's true, but that's only if you survive. They did survive. That's why they ended up in a different republic.
No, they died.
Well, you haven't seen season two, then I guess.
Well, thank you for spoiling that ending because I haven't actually seen season two, Sami.
E- Exactly. Like exactly. So
Yeah, but
you know
we only
what?
talk about season one though. We keep it contained. We haven't even talked about. I haven't seen season two, so according to season one, and what is given to you from season one, you don't really know they survived or not. What's given to you from season one is that they
They
all
are,
died.
they all died, literally.
And this is the problem. Okay, I'm gonna. Do you have any more to give? Because I'm gonna get into my second problem, and I'll tell you what I like after that. But if you have any more to say, go ahead.
Well, it's kind of messed up to be honest. The other example I have here is just a meaningful quote. Is like all white pigs are scum, and we already covered that. And like, if this is the last I see, maybe it's not so bad. And well, we are all born and raised by the Republic. It's our duty to protect this country, and I'm proud to do it. Oh, this quote was said by Shin's brother, and I still don't understand why he said this quote, even though he hated the Republic so much. He says that, and he says our major that we are all born and raised by this Republic. It's our duty to protect this country. I'm proud to do it. That's why we fight. I'm surprised. Why does he say that? It doesn't make sense to me, even though he hates the Republic from the inside.
I assumed it was his guilt towards his brother after what he's done to him. That may be the case, but
That's That may be the case, but you also should know that Shin's parents were kind of experimented on by their neighbors.
that's true. That's true. I forgot about that. They did get experimented on. There was a lot of scenes of characters in the show that I was just like, yeah, okay, I get it, fine, but otherwise, it doesn't make this is so stupid. Like, okay,
Then the friend part as well. Exactly. I
that's
have
what
a
I'm talking
very
about. That's what I was gonna get into that. That the whole interaction with a friend was so stupid, but it's one of those things in anime where I was like, yeah, you guys are having an argument, but your arguments are not that doesn't make any sense. You're arguing about something for sure, but what? What is it that you're arguing about? Because I couldn't understand what. I understood that she feels guilty and that she thinks of herself as evil and calling a friend as well also evil, and then she just says, "I don't want to see you anymore." And I was like, what happened? Did I miss something?" It was all out of nowhere. That's one of those scenes that I was like,
basically she's trying to tell about the devices that they've made that they wear, the major wares to connect with the 86 were experimented on 86 to make them perfect, and her father was commissioned by the state to do it. It was human testing, and this is where the loophole in the state comes, that 86 are now humans, so human testing was approved on them. So her father hanged herself and she regrets it every single bit. The
okay,
point I don't understand is,
mhm,
like, why didn't you tell this information sooner in the series so that she had a valuable argument to come up with all of this information?
true. Oh wait, against who?
Like, all of this information about the 86, she could have easily figured out if this type of piece of information was given, that, let's just say, this devices were made to execute, well, like, for expert tested on 86 and others. She can understand from the point that the Republic isn't going to let them live until in the last ending of the series, that she has to understand, oh, they're not gonna live. Something yada yada. You know?
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, that is true. They weren't really. It came out of nowhere. A lot of the stuff in the show. I'm gonna get into my last point as to why I don't like this anime. In the
Mm.
beginning, right, when we first got a look at the 86 crew, it was giving me um Akamega Kill vibes. And what's the other anime? Uh, the one with the kids. If you ever seen that one, I forgot the. I always remember it, but I forgot it today. They are essentially formed by. They have a mother and whatnot. Have you ever seen that anime? I'm
To be
assuming.
honest, I'm assuming if
Promise
we're talking.
Neverland. There we go.
Wow, Promise Neverland. I was gonna say about like the mom isekai thing. You know how the major is
Okay.
kind of mom thing, and
Yeah, I would. That depends on which isekai you're talking about. Anyway, not that. Not that. That's not what I'm talking about. What I was talking about was that I was getting Akamega Kill vibes and Promised Neverland vibes when they were showing the 86 and they were happy go lucky and whatnot. And I was like, yeah, these people are gonna die. All of these people are gonna die. They're either gonna die horribly or they're gonna die off screen. I'm probably not gonna be able to see it. And a lot of them were like that. The guy who dropped the rice or soup, I forgot what he was. That one dude, he dropped the rice or soup, and then you see him already dead. Then there was the Kea chick that died, and I was like, okay, sure. I figured one of them was gonna land at that point. And then there was Haruto. You remember Haruto? I had to go watch anime again to figure out. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. How I mean, he dies again.
The thing is, he dies, and in during that the shower of mortars, and he dies, and I was like, what? Did he really die there? What happened? There was like three people died at that point. I was like, who? I thought everyone was still alive when they went back when they went to go hide, and I was like, I thought only one person died. No, like two, three people died, and I didn't know who he
Exactly.
was.
And this comes back to one of the major flaws of the anime, and I think that the anime shouldn't have been about 11 episodes. In total, I think the anime was should have been about 24 episodes in total. Reason being is that it was too fast. It was too paced in a very fast way.
True. You didn't get enough time to like any of the 86. Like, through as I was watching, I didn't really get attached to any of the 86 members, be it Shin, be it Dea, be it Raiden, be it um, Enma. What's his name again? The
Or we're gonna butcher names either anyway.
Anju. That's what
And
I'm Anju. Or Kurena, was it? Kurena? I forgot her name.
it's a good point. What you're trying to say here is that normally, if you're attached to a character, you will remember its name.
Their
Even
name,
I
yes.
know the name of character because it's like it's irrelevant to know their names at this point.
Exactly, because they all dead. That's the problem. They're all going to die. I didn't bother to remember any of their names. I didn't bother to get attached to these characters because they were going to die. And this is the problem in anime, is that if you have a death that's not meaningful, that's just there for the shock value or just because we want to be realistic, you're not gonna get a lot of people attached to any of your characters. It'll feel like the story's coming off as it'll see like the story's coming off.
I can see it's coming off like plain. It's like this. It's
Exactly.
like a bowl of. It's like you go to a Michelin star restaurant and you order a bowl of ramen. You want that ramen to have that specific great taste of spices. It doesn't have any of it. It's plain. So the anime is totally plain. It's only shock value. It makes
Exactly. It's why I'm gonna bring up One Piece. I know you haven't seen One Piece, but whoever's listening, in One Piece, you don't people complain in the very beginning that there's not a lot of characters that are dying, right? When they show a character dying, they don't really die; they come back somehow or the other. But in One Piece, they make the deaths very meaningful because the death signifies something in the anime. For if someone dies, it's either the start of a new era, or it's to for a character that one of the main characters' brothers, friends, or whatnot dies, and it's super meaningful. You remember that character's name solely
oh,
because they're attached to someone you already like, something like that. You know what I mean?
dude, don't get me started. He meant like Ace. Please no, not Aces. Man,
Have you watched One Piece? How do you even know about that?
Ace's death has been more a mourning for me. Because like I was trying to get into One Piece, but like I was spoiled by one of my friends. Like he told me that Ace's dies. I was like, no way, no. Like then he sends me a clip, and I'm like, you
Bruh.
mother sucker.
It's
Why?
but the thing is, I would recommend you watch One Piece. We could do that as part of a podcast or something. You know what I mean? Like you watching One Piece and then you
I
go on
don't
your
want.
journey. Like you don't have to watch it. You can read it, and then we talk about you give your thoughts. You know, and I jump in and say why you're wrong, but you know what I mean.
The way the current story is going, I'm like interested into it. Like starting from zero to it, it's going to be
It won't be
a
that long of
lot.
a journey because my brother he started 3 months ago and he's already caught up to me. So
That's all.
yeah, that pretty much. He took only 3 months and he caught up to me. It could take you a lot less. He's busy, so we could do
Let's
that.
do.
We could do that as like a podcast thing. You every like second podcast we could go and talk about One Piece. It'll be so much fun. Anyway, back to 86.
The other thing I found about the anime that I kind of lacked was that every episode that the studio had to produce was kind of filled with too much information that we couldn't handle. We could take it from the first episode of it. They were explaining about who was the Reaper, the Undertaker, why people were like, why handlers quit the Spearhead unit, and everything, and we
It
didn't make sense until the episode 6. You could understand everything bit by bit. Oh,
yeah.
this is what they were trying to say.
Yeah, that's actually that's true. They throw you with a lot of information, and you don't get built into this world. You get thrown right into the middle. Like you're not like a fish out of water. We are the fish out of water, but the person we're following aren't. They already know what's going on. I read the synopsis before getting into the anime, so I already had an idea of what I'm getting into. But if you didn't, you'll just be thrown into like the the 86 pigs and whatnot, and you're like, what? Where's this coming from? Where's this hatred coming from? And it's just you're thrown straight into it, and it takes you a while to like, oh, okay, so the 86, so the what are not considered human, and those that are, and what is they don't explain in the anime, by the way. Do they ever explain why the 86 are the 86 and why the Elba, as they call them, is the Elba? Did they ever explain it in the show? I don't
The
remember if
only
they
thing
did.
they have explained in the series is that they don't have white hair and blue eyes.
Okay, white hair and white eyes actually, but okay, I don't remember them explaining it in the show. I just remember reading the
Also,
synopsis and
the
the
other
synopsis telling me.
information the
Say
other
again?
information we got was that along when the legions were like destroying the former country of the former country of Gia, a lot of its citizens immigrated to, well, San Mongolia and many other nations along with it.
Mm-hmm.
People.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where the problem arises. Maybe mostly because San Mongolia wasn't willing to open its doors for the 86 because of different colors and many things along with it.
Yeah, but like some were living in some 86 were living in District 1 before they implemented this law. Like Shin used to live in 80 in District 1. His parents and everyone should used to live in 80 in District 1 before they got pushed all the way to District 86. So who came up with the idea? It was after the fact, because even in the San Mongolian Empire, there used to be multiple like people with different colors, hair colors and eye colors. I found it just hilarious that they that they're discriminating against each other because of their different hair colors. It was funny to me. But anyway,
To be honest, it just kind of reminded me of the white versus black thing.
yeah, that's true. But I don't really want to get into that.
I don't really don't want to get it, but it was giving me those vibes for some reason.
Yes, but on a more extreme level, a much more extreme level
Yeah, and
than in real life, because they don't even treat them as human. Human. That's the to the full point where they can get away with human experimentation. So
dude, that was just the most worst part of it. Human experimentation.
I figured that was going to be one of the cases. I mean, how else are you going to get technology that literally? Thing is, this they took a while to explain, right? So that petaray, right, the petaray thing, right, that connects them to each other. I thought, right, that was just like a communication device. My mistake, because since apparently you connect each other's minds, and I thought,
That's the
what?
that's the whole reason that this explained the why the spearhead unit's handler keeps on being changed in the beginning of it. The power rate sinks to the
I
brain.
mean, exactly, and they
We find
hear whenever
out
they
that
come up
Shin is
against.
different.
Sorry.
We find out that Shin is different, and he can hear the voices of it for no apparent reason. We don't know why Shin can hear those voices.
Actually,
So
they do say why he can hear the voices. Apparently, he says he died, and that he did die. So, but he's alive. But he's able to hear them because he almost died or did die. It's very confusing the way he explains it, but I'm assuming it's just he came close to death, and before actually dying, he came back to life. They brought him back to life, and now he's experienced what death felt like, so he can hear the dead ones essentially. Maybe it's something of the sort. I think they were going with that whole you're like a supernatural. You're able to hear ghosts, or you're able to hear things that no
but
normal person can have because you had a near death experience. It's
mm,
sort of
mm,
something like that.
but to be honest, what I was thinking was that since the 86 were being experimented on, what if Shin was also experimented on? Let's just say that the traumatizing death scenario that he had, combined with the experiment done on him, let's just say he was the survivor of the experiment. He might be able to hear it. That could make a logical sense for Shin.
True, that could make logical sense, but it seems he had some sort of supernatural power, and the Legion was able to figure that out. Meaning, the Legion isn't just a bunch of autonomous robots. They are able to think, and they have technology that far outclasses the speed any of the juggernauts. The technology they have far outclasses the juggernauts. So the fact that they're still sending out juggernauts is baffles me. Especially something like if you understand military tactics and whatnot. I'm mostly coming from video games, military tactics, and not really real life
Uh,
military tactics. But if your soldiers are much weaker, right, and the enemy has much stronger, if they were just mindless drones attacking you, it's easy to out maneuver them. But it's not mindless drones. That's the thing. They are able to think,
that's
adapt.
the
It's
that's the thing with the 86 and more, like that's the thing with the entire 86 anime is that the reports are there, information is already there, but like they're not taking necessary measures to like take the Legion down.
but that's the thing. The one character that knows all this information doesn't make that her priority point. Instead of see if she knows, and she knows this very well that they don't think of the 86 as human, right? She knows this very well. Why doesn't she put that aside for now? Because the empire, the republic is going to fall if they don't do something. So it's not about that just yet. What I'm trying to tell you is that the empire is getting more powerful, and they're not slowing down. They're not going to stop after 2 years. The war is not going to end after 2 years. It's going to continue. If she never does that in the anime, when she makes that her primary point, that the war is not going to end in 2 years. The war is going to continue. That possibility never crossed any of their minds. And if that does happen, there's not many 86 to go around to keep killing them off. And to continuously kill them off doesn't make any
Only
sense either.
so
To get rid of them.
now this is where night theory comes in because like I'm taking this from real life examples. So let's just say you are the general of of a country, you know, like you command the army and everything. Now, you would like your soldiers to give you accurate reports into it, and this is quite more shown in the series as we move on. But how would they believe on just a major's word that the word is nothing? Because they have the numbers saying that the false numbers, quote unquote false numbers, that the legions are being, well, reduced, the numbers are being reduced. Well, in actuality, they're not. They're actually hiding. So what are you gonna believe? Numbers or some girl who's gonna come up to you and say, "Hey, I know my uncle's a general, and so yeah, so the legion are not gonna die out, like be died out or phased out into existence."
True, you could say that. But she's a major. She is working with those on the field. I mean, they are so-called not
You
autonomous
see,
drones. I get that, but she never the problem. I understand what you're saying, but she is a major. She has that rank. She has that sort of level of being able to give out this information because she's got it from the field, right?
would they believe her?
Y-
At the end of the day, the entire series bases upon that whether they believe the word of the 86 or not. They're still going to ask the major, where did she get
Fair
the
point.
information from? And
Mm,
she tells them, I got it from the field reports from the 86 and everything according to it. But they're still not going to believe it because it's 86. It's just the mindless hate towards the 86. So they're going to diss the report either way, even
fair,
if she tells them.
fair point. Fair point. The problem is the my question. The real question is why wouldn't you trust the ones actually on the field? Whether you hate them or not, they are actually the ones on the field. They are there on the front lines, so they have crucial information from the front lines. If you're not getting anything from the front lines back, right? If you're getting the same report over and over, and really no one really reads the reports because they don't care, but yes, someone that actually does, and getting reports of major information that could spell the end of the republic if they keep going on what they're doing. If you got that such information from someone that was that from someone that gave it to them from the field, you would do something because that would mean the end of your peaceful life. There's no point in continuing into not there's no point in not listening to those on the field because if you don't, right, the end of your peaceful life will be there. And because you already eliminated all the 86, right, you
No,
eliminated them.
exactly, exactly. All that point makes sense, and this is where it comes up. You know how San Mongolia brags and brands itself that the Juggernaut are autonomous beings,
Yes,
just like the right?
she could use the information that she has because she's on from the field. She could use the information to. She doesn't
Yes,
even have to say it's from 86. She could just say
yes,
she got it from the field data that she had. She got it from the field data and cameras that I got from the so-called drones. She could say that, and people will believe it because she is working with those drones, right?
but at the end of the day, they also said that the bodies are never brought to San Mongolia. So even if the wreckage of the body is done, they could be just saying that the Legion just destroyed the body and it was just um
Well,
casualty. You know.
she doesn't even have to mention that it's from an 86. That's
No,
the
no,
thing.
I'm not saying it's from an 86. I'm saying that let's just say it's a battlefield and everything is going accordingly. Now, there should be a pattern in the battlefield, but when you're in a normal battlefield and people die in that field, normally, even if you write a report about something is missing or something, that they're just gonna write it off like it's just a part of death. It's like it's just part of war. People are
Yeah,
going to die. So
I
they're not gonna take the report seriously until and unless she doesn't tell them the brains are missing and they have no way to confirm it. Simon Goldie has no way to confirm it because they don't bury the body of the 86. They keep it on the package.
yes, I know that they don't bury the bodies of the 86, but that's the thing. It's not just the 86 that they're taking heads from. They took all their
Yes.
heads from the people that have died in the Empire. There were people that lived in the Empire, remember? And they've taken
Yes.
those bodies from the Empire. You could bring up that as a point, right? A point to to push this idea that whether you're killing all the 86, right, all the so-called autonomous drones that we have is being destroyed, and those those drones, right, are getting weaker, and the drones they're fighting are getting stronger, right? If you don't want to bring up the if you say they're not going to really listen, if they say it comes from an 86, right, because they have blind hatred, then don't use the 86. You need to convince them to give more soldiers. And she doesn't really, if she can convince the people, people will rally to convince those in charge, right?
Now that's where I had the major issue in the series. The general, that means let's just say our major's uncle, he knew that the Legion are developing advanced weaponry. He already told the major about it. And that's why the spearhead unit was sent on that mission in the first place. So when he already knew that the Legion, if the autonomous being, they can't think from themselves, are developing advanced weapons, that should have been a red flag from the instance that this is not just a normal autonomous being.
Yes.
The gene, there's something wrong with it.
Exactly. She never really tells it. That means he knows that they're getting more powerful with their technology, but she never really tells him that there's something else going on here. That that the brain design from that they know of, right? The brain design that they know of is not going to end after 2 years. They will just replace it. And if they do that, well, the war won't end in 2 years. What are you going to tell the people then? The war is not ending after 2 years. You've promised the war that you've told the people countless times the war is going to end. The war is going to end. But the war is not going to end after 2 years. The fact that she never says any of this, was really pissing me off while I was watching the anime. Because if she has said it, fine. We don't get to
The only
see that
time
she says it.
The only known time that she has actually told that the war is never going to end in 2 years is when she's telling a low ranking, like the students that are going to be graduated from the cadet.
Exactly.
She only tells them, but not the higher ups.
Exactly, that's my problem with her character. Why is she not telling? Calm down, calm down. It's just an anime. But my point is, he never really. He's not telling the important people that the war's not gonna end. What are you gonna do if the war doesn't end in 2 years? What are you gonna do? She never says this. It's
That's just a loophole in the plot, and that's not the only thing. From my basic analysis and theory is that we know that Major's dad died while taking her to the front borders of the 86 district. We all
mm.
saw that, right?
Yes, yes, we've seen it. We've seen it.
Yeah, we seen that. I think that the uncle already knew from the examination why that only the head, the brain is missing from the body, but he just doesn't want to admit it. He doesn't even say it. I think he knows already that the Legion are advanced. He doesn't want to say it because he can lose his prestige and title. He's just being arrogant and letting his ego play the role into it.
But I don't think he know. Yeah, he might know. He might know, but we
Let's
don't
just
know
say
that. Okay,
let's just say he might have a guess about it because he knows that the Legion are being autonomous. He's been telling them like they're developing advanced weaponry, and the Juggernaut system is for it. And he keeps on saying in the series that hope and despair are one and the same. You want something, you can't have it, and they're two names of the same coin. I think he tried to reason with them He tried explaining that to them, but he already thought that it was pointless telling a nation of idiots this thing already. So he was saving her the thing that
the
if the nation is
embarrassment.
gonna die, just let it die. You know, it's already pointless.
Yeah, but then if the nation is really going to die, then the motivations behind the current 86 that we know of also don't make sense. If you because they know they are the ones who are getting the information and know that the war's not going to end in 2 years, yet they still fighting. Why?
The only logic that I can come up with is that they're saying that the reason that they're not leaving the battlefield is because that they do not want to become scumbags like them. And I'm trying to say to them, like, dude, they have literally slaughtered millions of your brethren in battle for a stupid war. You could literally rebel against them and, do something. Or better yet, escape from the battlefield and let the entire San Mongolia Empire fail. Why are you still fighting?
They
Does that
don't
make
want to
sense?
be. I know. I understand that point. They don't want to end up just like the people they hate. They don't want to do that. I understand. I understand that point. They don't want to do what the people they hate. Plus, a lot of them there were taken care of by the people they hate. By one of those they hate. They were taken care of. Some weren't, and it doesn't. They also have said as well. The 86 aren't like all great people. They've said this multiple times. The 86 aren't like amazing people.
No, yeah. Early on in the series, that they already told that not every 86 is a good person and not
Exactly.
every Alba is a bad
He's a
person.
bad person. So then I understand why, right? But you know that it's a pointless fight. You know that there's no point in fighting. Why? You know this.
Yeah, but I think there's another point from which I think from it. The reason they fight is because they want a quick and painless death. Let's just say that you walk
Quick and
away
painless
into.
death. Sure, you're getting ripped apart. Quick and painless. Sure, sure, sure.
Dude, I'm not trying to say that. I mean, a quick complaint is that like you die in a battlefield, that's fine, and that's an easier way of death. The only death that is more even painful is that the person survives it and still talks and yet still feels the pain. That is worse.
Yeah, that's basically all their deaths. What are you talking about? Painless death. The fact that they had to sit there and wait for Shin to come with his pistol and go,
Only
pa!
two, only two times in the series
In
Shin
the
has used it
series, how many
in
people
this,
that we haven't seen that had to go through that? We had to go up to them and shoot them in the head.
about two times we have seen it happen
And
more
we've
often.
seen it, but the ones we haven't seen, because he's done it a lot, or way more.
Plus, all the spearhead units, if you could remember, one of the red haired girls that was about to die, she actually killed herself in between and
Which
put the gun
redhead?
up.
Which redhead girl? I,
Why?
Huh?
Forget the name. I forget the name. It's like the last mission. It's like the last mission. And
The last mission? What are you talking about?
basically, one of the legs of the Juggernaut stopped functioning, and she was on the river side of it.
Oh, that
That
chick. I hope I'm thinking of the right chick. it's, it's weird because this anime, I don't remember half the names, even though I just finished it. Mostly
exactly
because
that's the thing for me.
there's no attachment to them. There's no attachment. That's why I said the anime is fine. It's not bad anime, but you don't get attached to any of the characters, so it's more of a forgettable anime.
I forgot all the names of the main characters. Like you would expect, for example, if you're watching a series, you would expect to remember the name. But like
Exactly.
my Izuku Midoriya, Katsuki Baku, I
Akatsuki,
remember them.
Akatsuki Baku. I'm kidding. Let's move on.
You would know their names. You would know. Even, I'm not a big Naruto fan. I know Tsunade. I know Jiraiya. I know all characters of the
And
name.
like,
I don't have to watch Naruto. It's still in my head. For some
mm,
reason, I keep on forgetting the names of these characters. Now I understand on the Attack on Titan why did they remove Levi's name.
fair point. What do you mean? Wait. What do you mean?
Live action movie, they removed Levi's name. Remember?
No, they removed Levi completely because they couldn't really say Levi. That was one of the reasons, and I still think that's bullshit because um they say it in the anime, the live act the anime subbed version, they say Levi, so I don't know.
Coming back to the point of 86, we
Yes.
went off track.
Twice.
It's just that the logic of the 86 does not make sense either way. And there's a
Yes.
lot of loopholes in the story itself which does not add up. I think the light novel would have been, if we would have read the light novel, I think it would have been an easier way to explain the story because a lot of people will be saying to us, and please, we're only giving our opinion on the anime. We haven't read the light novel, we haven't read the manga of these two series.
We're gonna get, because I already said it's okay. We're gonna get. That's if people watch this. Hi there, as if people listen to this. But
But I think that the light novel would have may have had like explained it in a more detailed way in many more stories. I think the studio just tried to like finish it up in an easier, quick pace because 86 as a story should have been gone for about at least 20 episodes max to understand every bit of scenario and plot hole with it.
with it, true. But I feel though, the 12 or 11 episodes that we've gotten was enough for a character-driven story. Now, this isn't. I don't mind this, right? I don't mind character-driven stories. But there's many. This story is particularly easy character driven story. There's not a lot of action. I thought going into this anime I'm gonna get like a ton of action, a ton of fun, like mech action. Because I saw they were wearing like military outfits, and usually when they're wearing military outfits, it's a mech anime. But uh, seeing that it's not that it was mostly just about the characters, and that's kind of a double-edged sword because you made it all about the characters, which and then killed them off, and then I forgot who those characters were even in the first case. But
The only
mm,
yes,
go
the
ahead.
only thing for entire sense in the series was that how everything intertwined and was linked to one another. Major Lilize meeting Shin's brother, and then Shin's brother. Everything according to. I think that's the only thing that they got right in the anime.
Yeah.
According to
According to what?
according to my opinion, that is the only thing they got right in the anime.
I'll say the one thing I think they got right, in my opinion, was the intrigue you get from the Empire, that Gladian Empire. That's the one thing that I think they got really correct and got right and gave me a lot of intrigue because I thought, okay, this is the most interesting part was this Gladian Empire. Wow, these details. My favorite episode would be the one where he starts monologuing about they taking the heads of the dead soldiers and using that to power the machine was very interesting to me, and my favorite part of the anime at least. Sucks how they didn't use any of that information, but okay. Enough about my point. Anyway,
But
what
like,
is our final rating for this 11 episode anime?
okay,
86. First
I
season.
like it in my chats, and I told you it was an amazing. I kind of hyped it. I just wrote amazing because it's just the only word I came up with at the time of it.
Fair point.
And fair point, just saying it.
Mm.
And the only thing I liked about the series was that it kept on throwing curveballs after curveballs. That was good. So in my opinion, I'm gonna give it a six.
A 6. Okay. That's interesting. I'm actually. I was gonna give it like. I was also gonna give it a 6. Strange. Because I wasn't gonna give it 7, 8, or 9. Mostly because I got enjoyment out of this anime, but I felt like I was just trying to get it finished. So to watch it finish, and not much enjoyment came out of that. But that's probably on my own fault in the grand scheme of things.
Just gonna say this. I'm
Mm.
just gonna say this. How many times in the episode did you know that she's gonna die? And you're gonna be saying, she's gonna die. Move, you asshole, move. It's clear writing. But no, you know it, but it happens.
Yeah.
It was given too much obvious. Plus the emphasis on Shin's brother, we already saw that in the opening. I think
True.
like if they would have hide that part of the Shin's brother and everything, it would have made sense because early on we just discovered that Shin's brother had died, and I could
Mm-mm.
already understand. Oh, it just revolves around him with the opening and everything.
Fair point. Yeah. There was another thing before we close off and announce the next anime. This is one thing that I really loved in the opening was that by near the end of the opening they would show the characters that have died. So in the beginning it was like only four, and then it kept piling on more and more characters would stand there, and at the very end Haruto was standing there at the back at the last.
Everybody.
Everybody except no, not everybody,
Nah, like except
except
for
the
the
last
recurring
four.
4 or 5 members.
No, last four members. There's only four left: Shin, Raiden,
Yeah,
Anju, and Kurena.
that was good.
Yeah.
I mean, I generally like the basis of the flower, the way the flower team was presented in the anime, because we could already resemble like flower petals
Mm.
being molting. That means that eventually everybody's gonna die out, and it's been shown in the anime and the ending. I found it very more intriguing that in every part of the episode that they show the flower, like
Mm.
the life of the kingdom is only extended as the flower. You keep on nurturing the flower, it's gonna bloom, but eventually it comes to the point
Wait,
where the person who's nurturing will die, and the flower itself will also die.
fair point.
That
Yes.
comes back to the point: if your
Mm.
front line of defense is the 86, and if they die out, you know,
Yeah. Well, that thank you all for listening to me and him ramble about 86, an anime we just watched, and I have no idea. I don't know much. I didn't know what I was expecting going into it, but it was an okay journey. It was an okay journey, and we will be coming next week with a different anime. I don't know what we're doing just yet. What do you think we're gonna be doing last?
next week. I mean, we already have Demon Slayer season 2 we want to watch. I haven't watched Demon Slayer season 2, nor the movie. So
Oh, you haven't
I
you
know
haven't
what's gonna
watched the
happen in the
movie?
manga.
Huh?
I, I I already know what's gonna happen in the manga, so that's why I haven't watched it myself. So yeah, so just not
Fair point. Okay,
next.
okay. How about this? How about this? Next week you do a couple of chapters of One Piece. How about that?
That would be good. I like to start from One Piece, chapter number one something.
Okay, you gonna do the anime or you gonna do the manga? Which do you prefer?
I'm gonna do the anime.
The anime? You sure?
Yes, I want to start with the anime. Let's see, because
Okay.
I've been saying a lot of crap about One Piece. Not gonna be lying. I said it behind the calls
With
with my
me,
co with my
yes.
host,
I know,
and
I know. Thing is,
I think
it's
it's
fine.
fair.
It's fine. You can say whatever you want. You haven't watched it yet, but all right. How many until which episode do you want to watch on One Piece? And when you say what tell me what episode until what episode you gonna watch till next week. Next week.
I think it's the episode 20 of One Piece.
Do you want to
At
go?
least
You want to
should
go
be.
through it like arcs, or do you want to go through it episodes? What do you think?
I think going through arc would be a good story rather than going through episodes.
Okay, okay. Then do I'll tell you what I should do. Do Romance Dawn, Orange Town, and Parate for next week. Is that possible for you?
Or on what?
Um, Romance Dawn.
You know what? Just write the names down to me by the end of it.
Okay,
By the way,
I'll tell you in Discord. All right, we're gonna be seeing One Piece next week. We're gonna be talking about some One Piece. Hopefully you enjoy this journey. Last, I'm excited for you. Anyway, thank you all for listening. This has been the Weebs Return. Good day.